You know what time it is, right? About that time again, 11:30, 11:45 Eastern Time here. My name is Joseph James. Welcome back, guys. Another great day of trading in our live trade room. Now, if you're with us on Friday, if you recall last Friday, we knew going into the weekend, we had a sloppy end of the week last week, and we made our money last week, but we're anxious to get back to trading here this morning on a Monday morning, make some of that money we missed out on Friday. Well, Monday morning, what do we have first? First things first, we checked our news. Our news told us right away, no major news. We talked about this morning on the morning prep. That's right. You can go right to our morning prep anytime you want. Morning prep goes up every morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and this morning's morning prep was no different. It gave us a great plan of attack. We talked about the Russell, the Euro, the Crude, the dollar index. We also talked about this morning, we talked about the fact that there was no major news this morning. And then we also said, but wait a second, wasn't there news out of Greece this weekend? Weren't there some bonfires in the streets? Weren't there some riots, right, this weekend? So we thought there might be a little bit of action coming out of Greece. That news chatter would come out later on this morning. So we knew this morning, Monday morning, without any major news, our plan was pretty simple. Get in early, but be prepared to be patient all morning and look for that late morning move where basically the traders will come in a little bit late on a Monday without news. They'll sit on their hands waiting for personality, and late in the morning on a Monday, we usually do start seeing some pretty good price action that gives a chance to trade here. Now, we're going to be going into training here momentarily. Before we do, I wanted to review some of the trades we took today in the room. Now, first things first, I'm not a big fan for hindsight. So let's go to my morning prep. Morning prep is posted as the market developed this morning. And here was my plan on the crude. Now, we had a lot to talk about on crude today, but the most important thing about crude oil this morning was that we had a price wedge. If you saw the big bear channel, that's one thing. But we knew the most important thing today was that wedge. That price wedge told us market personality. And again, I'm not going to go and look at a chart right now and use hindsight. What did this tell me right now? Price told me if price goes higher, I look for a fake out breakout and I sell it, bringing it back down in. It also tells me I could take a pullback here. And we actually did both. What happened this morning was we knew we had, again, the price wedge. Price wedge, very important. We also knew we had 170 overhead. 170 overhead is always going to be a great spot to look for a price to stall. So price went above the wedge. We then sold it. My first trade this morning, I sold the highs. Shortly after that, though, the buyers stepped back in and pushed new higher highs. So shortly after I sold, I tried to get into it for a wave pattern long. That also failed. I ended up then taking that failure and selling it again and again and again, bringing it all the way back down to the previous high of day, all the way down to that 99.50 down below us. So the plan was pretty simple. Get in early, be aware that the crude has a price wedge. We're going to fade the breakouts. And you can see here by our morning prep, we had our plan ready to rock before we got started this morning. Now again, guys, on the crude right now, if you're watching crude right now, it's almost 12 o'clock noon Eastern Time right now. Be very careful. That 100 level below us is clearly being a magnet right now, making it more difficult for us to be getting long on the crude here. Be careful, though. This is a 55 wave pattern long, but there's very little personality giving us clues right now, so we're sitting on hands on crude right now. So first things first, no major news. We wanted to be patient. Second thing we saw on crude today, we had a price wedge. And you'll see here what happened. I followed my plan literally to the tick. And what do you see here on crude? I began my day, 9 o'clock here on crude oil, began on 9, at 9 o'clock, selling. I sold for 19 ticks. Then it became a little bit difficult. Once we sold the highs, the buyers stepped back in for a moment and made it appear they wanted to keep going higher. It was a 13 wave pattern long. I took the 13 wave pattern long, ended up going +5, then -10. Took a -10 on it. So you can see, sold the highs first, then bought when I saw those sellers fail. Well, sure enough, when the buyers failed, that's what gave me the clue that I needed to then keep on selling. So you can see here, short, short, short. We kept selling. Ended up having some more trouble at 9 o'clock, right? Gave back another 40 bucks there, 4 ticks there. So I made 19 ticks and then proceeded to give back pretty much all of it as things got sloppy. But again, like I said very specifically at 7:30 this morning, we were going to follow this plan. I followed my plan, and what happened next? Plus 23, plus 20, plus 46. We're not going to get winners on every trade. End the day with 940 bucks, 94 ticks total. Excellent way to follow the plan and finish up a morning.